Hey everyone, I'm so pumped to be here today that I feel anxious. I mean, let's be honest, I kind of always feel anxious, especially doing videos, because I'm still kind of adjusting to it, and it always makes me feel a little bit nervous. But today it's a good kind of excited anxious, because the book that we're going to talk about today, I've been so excited to talk about. And of course you've heard about it, because anyone who doesn't live under a rock has heard about this book, The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Let's also briefly, before we get into the book, talk about this top. One of the worst decisions I have ever made, because nobody with a 4-year-old should own something like this, because it's just so delicate and it's going to be stained and ripped apart, but it's cute. We're gonna try. I also just got this hush cut and I have no idea how to style it. If anyone has any tips, please God help me, because I don't know what to do right now. This is just some sea salt spray and air drying. Looks kind of okay, but also very moppy. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna be super honest, right? I had no interest in reading this book. I never read books that I hear about on TikTok or Bookstagram or whatever. And I rarely read books that my friends tell me to read. Why? I honestly have no idea. I guess it kind of takes a certain something to sell me on it. And I had numerous friends who read all of the books that I read, and I know have great taste in books, tell me to read this, and I was just kind of dragons, war camp, not really my thing. I'm gonna read the jacket cover for you. So it starts out at the very top. I actually really love this quote after reading the book. "The dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead." Article 1, Section 1, the Dragon Rider's Codex. I love how Rebecca Yarros does this. She breaks up all of the chapters with little world building pieces like this. That kind of gives you little snippets on some of the larger players and kind of helps build the world, and you learn a little bit about the kind of grand scheme of things, from these little snippets. It's a great way to add to the book. So I'm gonna read kind of the book jacket summary of what to expect. Enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. From New York Times bestselling author Rebecca Yarros. I had never heard of Rebecca Yarros because I'm not I don't read tons of just romance. I mostly read Romantasy. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengail was supposed to enter the Scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her tough as Talon's mother, ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. So it goes on a couple more paragraphs, but honestly, I think what disinterested me in this book the most is that it's at a war college. And I was just kind of it just gave Full Metal Jacket meets dragons. I don't know why. And so I was it's probably not for me. But then, my friends kept pushing, I promise you're really gonna love this book. Just give it a try. Finally, I had listened to, my go-tos over and over and over again so many times I practically have the Audible version of ACOTAR memorized. And I was like, okay, fine, like, let's see, so I can review it for the people. And so I got the audio version. I don't know, after I listen to an audio version of a book, if I like it, I have to have the physical copy. It's just old and matches also this, which is from a book. This is totally off topic, but this Monkey Wrench Gang beer can, anyway, so I had to have the physical copy. So I listened on Audible, downloaded it. There were a lot of reviews saying that they hated the narrator. I loved her. And I'm very picky about narrators, but I loved her. I thought that she matched the character perfectly. And I just felt like she did such a great job with all of the voices. And yeah, so I just want to say that if you're considering getting the Audible version or the audio version, I really liked her, despite what many of the reviews said. So start listening to the book. I was instantly into it, like just totally hooked. It starts out right in the action with Violet going off to this war college, and there's all this tension between her and her mother, who is the general, and her sister is there, and there's all of this anxiety building and tension, and boom, right away, first 2 minutes, like, this isn't a spoiler, it happens in the first few pages, but they introduce super hot guy, dead gorgeous, right? And her sister tells her to stay away from him. Anyone who reads Romantasy, like, you know exactly what that means, right? So Violet and her crew are at a war college where they train to become dragon riders. And the interesting thing about it is basically you pass or you die, right? Like, it's a very interesting world, very brutal, in the sense that cadets are legit able to kill each other. Like, they are allowed to thin the herd. They are allowed to thin out the weaklings. So anyone outside of your squadron basically is allowed to kill you. There's only a few exceptions in the Codex, which is kind of their book of rules, right? Like, you can't kill someone in their sleep. But like, say you're sparring on a mat, somebody doesn't like you and thinks you have weak pinkies or whatever, they can fucking break your neck. So you have to survive this place. And then on top of that, you have to pray to whatever gods that a dragon chooses you to be their rider. Because one thing that is so good about this book, it's so good, is that the dragons are the superior beings in the book. They talk mind to mind. They are highly intelligent, much smarter than people. They are governed by their own people. The dragons have their own code of ethics, their own government, their own society, and they look down on humans. Like, way down. Literally. But also figuratively. Like, it is, I loved it so much. I had no idea because I didn't really know that much about this book when I started reading it. And so like the very first time one of the dragons talk, I was just like, what is happening? And then you just start learning like that in this world, dragons are the superior species and humans are well aware of it. Which, like, just kudos to you, Rebecca. It's really clever. And yeah, so it's very enemies to lovers, forced proximity, found family, very complicated family dynamics. The book is very political, honestly, but it's like subtle and it's not in your face, but it's there. And it just makes the book that much smarter and more interesting to read. I love a book that makes me think about the world and makes me reflect on the world and our systems. and, you know, what's happening around us. It reflects what's happening around us, you know. And I was just hooked. I was hooked, and I loved the entire book. I really did. I thought it's beautifully written. I mean, Rebecca Yarros, she has a way of balancing just all of the elements. You know, there's tension consistently through the book, really good pacing. The character development is amazing. You know, Violet starts out very weak and fragile and, you know, unsure of herself. And then you kind of watch this character evolve and change and grow. And, you know, the same with all of the characters in the book. It's a good cast of characters. And she also does such a good job of giving each of them just very distinct personalities, you know, where there's just a dialogue tag, like, you know, or not a dialogue tag, just a snippet of dialogue. You know exactly who is talking. And it's hard to do when there's like 10 characters. There's a lot of internal struggle happening simultaneously with a lot of external struggles, right? Just everyone seems like they're out to kill this girl. Everybody, everything. Like this poor thing. Like, I don't know how she survived. I mean, I do know, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you. I saw a bunch of reviews of this book that were asking, you know, does it live up to its hype? And I'm always kind of unimpressed with a lot of those reviews. And the reason for it is I almost feel like it's kind of a content creation hack to set people apart. Like, you know, almost kind of like I am a superior, you know, bookish human because there was a lot of hype, but me, myself, did not like it. And like, I'm not saying that you cannot like this book. There are a lot of big books that, my dog is so loud, I'm sorry. There are a lot of popular books that like, I just didn't love, right? And there are a lot of books that I love that like a lot of my bookish friends don't love. Totally okay. But I kind of feel with content creators, stop barking, dog. Oliver! Thank you. Oliver! Come here, Bubby. He's so crazy. He's so old and he's so crazy. I'll show him to you if he comes back and stops yelling at the neighbors. But when it comes to like content creators, I just always feel like it's a way to get views or just kind of sound like they're superiorly bookish, if that's even like a real thing. I don't know. Totally feels like that to me though. But I saw a lot of them, you know, like it didn't live up to the hype. It was too hyped up. I don't, like this book is really well done. Like as a lifelong book nerd and, you know, an obsessive reader and a writer, the book is well written. It is a great story, great plot, great characters. I'm not quite sure what more you would want, honestly. Like, we have to have realistic expectations of books, right? Like, I mean, what are you expecting? Like the characters to actually hop out of the page and like come to life before you and take you on a dragon adventure? Yes, I would like that. Zayden Ryerson is daddy. Let's talk about the spice. There are a couple of sex scenes. I'm not going to say between who, but there are a few. And they're so well written. They are tingles. How do I manifest a shadow daddy? Bite your lower lip, like distract you from all things in the world good. So good. They're so good. And like they're written in the perfect amount of detail. Like not too much where you're like, oh God, that's unsanitary, but like in a way where you can feel what is happening, like in your body, in your soul. If you haven't picked up the book or you're on the fence about getting it, I'm just gonna say, listen, trust what, this is insane, honestly. On Goodreads, this book has a 4.67 rating with 328,000 ratings and 61,000 plus reviews. That is a lot of fucking people standing this book. That is a lot of fucking people who absolutely adore this book. And look, I'm not saying that I like it to be cool. Lord knows I'm not. Look at me. But like, damn y'all, it's good. I haven't been this excited about a book, honestly, since I read like the, all of the mass books. There's been like a hole in my heart after finishing all of Throne of Glass finally. And this filled it. And the next book is coming out in November, which is soon, but just doesn't feel nearly soon enough. Because like, I'm dying to know what happens. It leaves off on one hell of a cliffhanger. Y'all are gonna have trust issues after reading it. Because what is real in the world? We don't know. Which I really want to get into more, but I'm gonna do a part 2 of this video where I talk about what I think is going to happen in book 2. And that will, if you haven't read this, don't watch it. But if you've read this and you have all these things happening in your mind and you've heard all of these conspiracy theories, like tune in, because like, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm usually pretty good at predicting books. Like wicked good. It's kind of a bummer sometimes. So I want to put it out there in the world and see if I'm right about any of it, because I might not be. I mean, Rebecca is very clever with her plot twists and her insane cliffhangers. So I want to have a whole video just talking about like conspiracy theories that I've heard, what I think is going to happen. What in the shit? My robot vacuum just came alive because he had something to say about this. Did you read the book? What did you think? Did you like it, not like it? What did you love about it? What did you hate about it? Are you going to read book 2? I really want to hear what you think, because I'm so pumped about this book right now and this world and this series, and I just want to talk to people about it. So find me on Instagram at You're Gonna Be Great, because I also have a podcast where I talk bookish things and pop culture. So You're Gonna Be Great. Find me on Instagram. Be my friend. I really want to talk about this book with you and all of the books, because I need all of the bookish friends in the world. So come find me. Like, comment, share this video. Tell me your thoughts. And if you have any recommendations for what to read next, because I finished this and now I don't have anything to read, I'm all caught up on my to be read list. Give me some Romantasy recs. I would love to hear them. Thanks.